Good afternoon. I just waited for my phone to turn 3 o'clock, so we're starting by the second because we have a long town hall today. We have a lot to go over, so I just wanted to forewarn you about that. But good afternoon. Welcome to our monthly town hall. I'm wondering if anyone here has any mission moments they would like to share.
Last week, we had a major sewage backup in the original building on the first floor. And I just wanted to thank maintenance and housekeeping and Teresa for all their help in cleaning it up because it was a mess. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Anyone else?
Some of you may have already read the email I put out about a half an hour ago. And if you haven't, and you normally don't read the Google group, please read this because once again, it will remind you, watch out for scams. Doug and I were dealing with one from 9 till 1 today, and it involved a lot of money. And it was very messy, and it took us a while to put all the little, the little back of your brain that says, Finally, they added up, and we went down to IT. They were closed for lunch, but who should come walking down the hall but Victor? So I'm going to write up a SECA Award nomination for him because we don't have to move. We can stay right here.
And Meredith, that was really nice what you wrote. I forwarded it to Victor. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to the agenda. Our agenda today, Judy is going to come up, your resident council chair, following me. Then Bruce will give some chapel updates. Jackie's going to go over the active violence drill that's coming up in August. And Joaquin will talk about the guest meal charges and fine dining. And last but definitely not least is Beth Clint. She is our Director of Clinical Operations with Goodwin Living, and she's going to talk about the nurse practitioner program, which leads me in to thanking all of you again for your comments, regarding our clinic and for your genuine concern for our team. I think you all are aware that we are advertising now for an RN. Since Gabby's retirement, we're going to replace that position, maybe not in the evening because we're shifting around some people based on what the existing clinic team want. But we are retaining the hours with our clinic team. So that's a positive. And we also have an addition that Beth is going to talk to you about, a nurse practitioner that's really exciting. So we saved the best for last. Beth will discuss that. Also, after this meeting, as you depart, besides the World Cup, if anyone wants to watch it in the living room, Teresa is going to sneak out of this meeting and put our boards up from HCM. So I think, Judy, you mentioned at the last resident town hall meeting, that we would be getting boards from HCM sometime this month. So we do have them. We have 6 boards total. It's going to be what Scott showed at that one town hall meeting, his presentation, but they'll be on big boards. So I think it will be easier for all of you to see. They will be in the living room, and some of us will be around the living room to answer any questions you may have, but don't feel overcrowded because we're going to keep them up for 2 weeks. So you'll have 2 weeks to look at those if you'd rather watch the game.
Sorry, I had a mission moment that I forgot.
Okay.
Remembered. The other morning, my husband Jerry woke up with a terrible stomach ache, and it kept him awake all night. and we were worried. So we called the clinic, and Monica came up right away, and she said, let's call Jerry's doctor, which we were able to do. And the doctor gave Monica some instructions, which Jerry was able to follow, and he felt a lot better. And Monica called back twice that day to make sure that he was okay. So that was really an outstanding experience for us. I'm sorry I didn't.
Thank you, Mrs. Klein. Thank you.
I have a mission moment also, and this has to do with the clinic. At 5 minutes of 11, I called down to the clinic about a week and a half ago because something had happened and my husband was bleeding and I couldn't stop it. And Dean came up, he took care of it, he stayed with us, he got it all stopped, and he was there until, maybe 11:15, but I never felt that he rushed us, and boy, did we need him. So thank you, Dean.
Thank you. Okay, that's it with the mission moments. And the last thing I was going to mention before turning this over to Judy is you all know bittersweet news that Teresa, our Teresa, is retiring. Well-deserved retirement, and she's very excited to move back to her house in Charlottesville and to be with her family. And she's got some grandchildren that she's really excited about spending time with. But we need to celebrate her before she goes. You don't have to write this down. We will remind you, but we have a party planned for Teresa on August 21 from 2:30 to 3:30 in the living room. So this will be in the Gazette. I just wanted to let you know because some residents have asked what we're doing, and we definitely have a party planned for Teresa. Okay, so if I can turn this over to Judy.
Good afternoon. There are several items that I wanted to share with you today on behalf of the Resident Council. First of all, at the Residents Council meeting July 7th, we made two important decisions. First, due to Tom Suey's resignation from the Resident Council, Caroline Mayer was nominated and elected unanimously to become our newest member on the Resident Council. Carolyn is a very active member of our community, a very effective chair of the Marketing Committee, and she will continue as the Resident Council's liaison to the Marketing Committee. We are very grateful for Tom's service as chair of the Marketing Committee, as well as his membership on the Resident Council since 2023. Caroline, wherever you are, could you stand up, please? There she is over here. Please welcome her. Secondly, given the new Virginia law and the Resident Council's recent decision to have a resident representative on the Goodwin Living Board of Trustees, as mentioned at the June Town Hall, the Resident Council amended the Residents Council guidelines, which in essence are our bylaws. The draft amendment was discussed at the June 2 meeting of the Resident Council, and at the July 7 meeting, it was adopted by majority vote with one abstention. It reads, under duties of the council vice chair, serves as the resident representative to the Goodwin Living Board of Trustees, reports to the Resident Council at its monthly meeting, and to the GHA residents through the Gazette, at town halls, etc., on a periodic basis. For several reasons, the Resident Council believed it was very important to have a duly resident elected representative from the Resident Council to be our community's representative on the Board of Trustees. And we knew that the vice chair who is elected by the resident council each year, could easily handle this additional task. So please keep in mind when you vote for your preferred representatives on the resident council this fall that one of those individuals may eventually be elected as the vice chair and therefore as our resident representative to the Goodwin Living Board of Trustees. Next, I would like to let you know that Rob Liebrick, our CEO, very much wants to be able to interact with all of you on a more frequent basis than he has been. So we have worked out that Rob is going to be coming to Goodwin House on a monthly basis to have lunch in the Alexandria at one of the big round tables, which can handle 7 of you residents, followed by a meeting in the Fillmore by any resident who would like to attend. Those will be on a monthly basis, and the first get-together will be Friday, August 14th, and we will set up a sign-up sheet in the activities binder, and we're working with dining to be sure we have a pretty efficient way to order your lunch and have a nice chat with Rob. In addition, we wanted to increase your opportunity to meet with our Chief Operating Officer, Chandra Kumar, and Chandra will be coming to Cookies and Conversation. She's already scheduled for October, but beginning with January, she will be here on a quarterly basis. Next to last, a resident who is actually here today asked me to say something about the importance of recording your volunteer hours. If you work with a Goodwin House Alexandria committee, standing committee or otherwise, or if you help with a special event, or you're a wheelchair volunteer or whatever, you are contributing to our community. If you work outside the community for a nonprofit, you are contributing to someone outside of our community. Goodwin Living is a nonprofit organization, and each year they must report various requirements, including maintaining their nonprofit status. And your volunteer hours that are recorded help them be able to prove that, yes, we are, as an organization, contributing to our community. So please, I would recommend, there is a form that you can actually fill out, both for your contributing volunteer hours within Goodwin House or outside of Goodwin House. And the form is the left-hand side of the table where the activities binder is on that rack. But for those of you that prefer to use Uniguest, if you look under Forms on Uniguest and then click on Volunteer Hours, the form just pops up. And all you have to do is record your total hours each month. So this is really important, as I said, for Goodwin Living, but it also gives you a pat on your back when you realize, I won't tell you how many hours I recorded for June, but I was a little bit aghast, but it really does add up. So the last thing I wanted to mention before I introduce Debbie Christie is that Barb mentioned that the HCM boards will be in the living room for 2 weeks. There will also be a box there and paper and pencil pens for you to write your comments and your suggestions. Now, I know some of you would love the Arts Center to stay where it was, have the Fitness Center stay where it is, that you may not want a room with a virtual reality, whatever they call it. That's not going to change. But if you see something on the design board, you think, oh no, I don't like this at all. I don't like how they're reorganizing the Fillmore, or I don't like the colors, or whatever, that's your opportunity to let us know. So you can fill out, as I said, anything on the papers there. And if you prefer not to, just send me an email. And we will get all this together, not only for the benefit of you and the Residents' Council, but also for HCM and our senior management team. Okay, Debbie. I'm bringing Debbie Christie up. Debbie is a past resident council member. She's current chair of the Facilities and Security Committee, and more importantly for today, chair of the nominating committee.
Thank you, Judy. This will be brief. You may have seen on the Google group and in the recent Gazette a little article about the nomination process. The committee will be accepting nominations through the 1st of August, which happens to be a Saturday. You can send them to me. You can put them either on paper or by an email or a text message or any way you can get it. Put it at the desk and they'll put it in my box. Or you can send it to any of the other members of the committee, Bill Heenan, Jill Miller, Bill Sargent, and Carrie Wade. You can nominate yourself. In fact, I encourage people who would like to be on the Residents' Council to nominate themselves. I mean, if you think about it, most people who run for office nominate themselves in our political system. You can nominate another resident, but please ask them if they are willing to serve before you put their name in nomination. Although we will check to make sure that everybody that we put forward is actually willing to do this deed. I think that's about it about the nominating process. Judy's reminding me. When the announcement went out, it said we had 3 vacancies. Since then, Judy and I took a hard look at dates and discovered we've got 5 vacancies to fill. So please, I'm told by others who have done this job in the past that it's not easy to get people to join the Residents' Council. So it's fun. It's fun. It really is. Secondly, the Facilities Committee is still looking for additional members. It's going to be an interesting couple of years, I think, for our committee. We're finishing up the work that came from the facilities condition assessment to fix the major systems in this building, the heat, the electricity, the water, all those sorts of things. And then there will be the repositioning project being developed by HCM. We are not the people who decide how space gets used or what colors are used, but we will be looking at what the implications of all these changes are for the major building systems to make sure that when we get the changes done, they're heated and cooled appropriately and all that sort of thing. So if you have an interest in any of those kinds of activities, please come to the Facility Committee meeting. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Bruce. I'm your chaplain. And I have just a couple of things to remind you about. We have 3 memorials coming up. Tomorrow is the service for Yopi Boki at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. On Friday is the service for Suzanne Leggett at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And next Wednesday will be the service for Ruth Hanslick at 11 o'clock in the morning. And then, because it's before we have town hall again, I'd mentioned that graduation for our CPE interns, clinical pastoral education, is Friday the 14th of August. So if you haven't had a conversation with our interns yet, please try to fit that in the next couple of weeks. Marie Esther Duvert and Toma Napartiani. And Toma is going to be our preacher on Sunday, so you might come and hear him at either 9 or 10:30. And I think that's all I have this week. Who's next? Jackie.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon. This is more of a reminder, not many details to share quite yet. We will have our active violence drill on August 26th. The time is to be determined. We're partnering with the Alexandria Police Department, so officers will be here that day to help us facilitate the drill. We will have team members stationed throughout the buildings so they can observe the drill and we can gain some feedback on how well we did. Teresa and I have a call with Officer Vu to kind of hash out all the details next week and again in August. So those details will be shared as we get closer. No need to share them quite yet. And Code Silver will be announced throughout the building during the drill. Just want to remind everyone that Code Silver means that there is an active violence situation occurring on campus. And that will be used on August 26th. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? Good to hear. Okay, this is just some fundamental information about guest meal prices. We were told to do this because there was a lot of feedback, questions about the guest meals and their prices. So just wanted to give you some information. We will also put this in the Gazette as well, too. Unfortunately, my counterpart, Dan, is sitting in his couch, drinking a beer, watching the soccer game. So he left me with all the dirty work today. Oh. So we're going to go over really quickly guest meal pricing with and without guests and some information about the fine dining in Fillmore. Guest credit for breakfast with a credit is $13.50. Without credit is $13.50 plus tax. So let's just put this into perspective. All of you here have 5 guest credits per your dining dollars. After the 6th one, that's when tax gets incurred, okay? Lunch pricing, guests with credit, $21. Again, after the 6th one is $21 plus the tax. Dinner venues, guest credit is $29.50. $29.50 after the 5 guest credits have been expired. Wine per glass is $7.50, beer per glass $7.50, and cocktails are $8.50. Sunday brunch, that stays the same. So what we did differently is for the picnics that we do, July 4th, it was July 4th, Labor Day, and Memorial Day. Those prices for guests are $15, and for residents, it's still the $13.50. Very self-explanatory. Sunday brunch and holiday meals, $38. Kids 16, kids under 12, $8. Unfortunately, there's a 50% upcharge for guests who purchase a la carte. So, and the reason for that is because if you choose something that's not on the dinner or lunch, that incurs different pricing. Credits cannot be used for Sunday brunch and holiday meals. Children under 12 years old are half price for the items listed above unless otherwise listed. No tax is charged when credits are used. Fine dining Fillmore. Well, we've had this experiment. This is week 4, I believe. And so we've been tracking the numbers. First week, as you can see, we only had 14 covers. Second week, we only had 29 covers. Third week, we had 16 covers. We're starting the fine dining 4th week this week. So as of today, we have 12 reservations. So we'll see how things progress. So there's a reason I bring this up. So what we're going to do once fine dining is over, we're going to have the Fillmore back. And the Fillmore's going to open, the Fillmore Pub, I'm sorry. The Fillmore Pub and the limited menu, no reservations, that's going to be happening on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then on Friday, we'll have fine dining. So we're trying to incorporate the best of both worlds. One last thing that I had to mention before I give it to the next person is I know you guys have heard about the intestinal bug, the cyclopsoriasis. Well, what we've been doing, we've been monitoring with our vendor to ensure that you residents, our residents, are all safe. What we do on our end as well, too, is we continuously wash with baking soda and vinegar, so that way you guys are safe and try to kill as much bacteria as possible. So again, I just want to put it out there. We'll put a note in the Gazette as well, too. Yes, the lettuce and the fruits are the main culprits, and we know the residents love this very much, so we're paying extra attention to these products so that way no one here gets sick. All right, thank you very much for your time and attention. Any questions, anybody? Yes, ma'am.
What's the ratio of vinegar to baking soda? Just if we were going to do this in our own apartment, do you know what that is? So if we wanted to wash something, not the Goodwin House food, but if we went to the grocery store ourselves and we were bringing back lettuce, what would you advise that we do with that?
Half a cup of vinegar, 2 tablespoons of baking soda. No, you want to wash it, then you rinse it out with the water. Yes, Miss Menda.
What happens in the Fillmore on Mondays and Saturdays? You address Tuesday through Friday.
Mondays, you'll still have the happy hour, which I know very near and dear to your heart. Yes, that'll be available. And on Saturdays, you will still have the reservations for regular dining as well, too. So that's covered. And we'll put that in the Gazette as well, too. Any other questions?
I just want to add to washing veggies and fruit that you just talk about, that we just received an email from the health department that they recommend you wash it under running water. So don't put the water in bowl, mix it with the vinegar and just leave it like that. You need to be running out. That's the most safest thing to do, to wash it out when you get fruits.
Thank you. Who's next? Beth. Oh.
Thank you. You're welcome. Hello, everybody. So I am excited to announce and share with you all our nurse practitioner program that we are going to be implementing in the clinic coming up very soon. All right. Okay, so we are adding a nurse practitioner to the GHA clinic and expanding our services. Current staffing at the GHA clinic will remain the same. We're just actively recruiting for a new RN to fill a vacant position, and then we'll also be recruiting for an NP to be in addition to the existing team. And we're going to introduce a clinical model that's already been proven at GHBC. So as some of you may know, we do have a clinic we do have an NP in our clinic at GHBC who's been there for several years. And that role has allowed us to provide more care to our residents in emergency situations and then in between doctor's visits. The new NP is a first step in expanding the care and services we provide to our residents. Building on this care model, change will be gradual with resident feedback guiding the way. Our goal is to be additive and helpful to all of you, and so we'll be looking for your feedback. So our goal will be to provide GHA residents with more individualized, holistic, coordinated care that supports them at every stage of their aging journey. So step one, to reach our goal, we'll be introducing, as I've mentioned, the new role of the nurse practitioner. This brand new position was created so we can strengthen the care we provide, and the NP will work alongside the clinical team to provide care coordination, advanced care planning, access to resources, and overall clinical guidance. Together, this team will be positioned to better meet individual resident health and wellness goals. Step two, introduce what works at GHBC. As we are getting ready to implement the NP here, we're also beginning the expansion of the clinic at GHBC. So we're starting there, and then as we're learning, we're going to bring it over here once we've hired the NP. So it will mirror a model we've had in practice for several years, and then it'll also mirror the additions that we're making to that clinic. Our experiences at GHBC provide us with a tested approach to build from with confidence. All right. Step three, expand to deliver more care. The NP presents opportunities to offer more care, and we will build on this model as we bring it to GHA. It adds potential for even more care, and the clinic becomes a coordinated point that integrates multiple facets of residents' health and well-being. Our aim is to provide each individual resident with the right support in the right place at the right time. So this also will help create a path to bill insurance. Any care provided and directed by a nurse practitioner can be billed to insurance for the services we provide. And in addition to that, any of the care and services provided by the other members of the clinic team, right now it's nursing, we do hope to also add Care Connections social work into that model, as many of you may be aware of. Those members will also be able to bill under the NP's direction. So it allows us to really be self-sustaining within our model. So we can use existing reimbursement and billing codes that support clinical assessments, care coordination, wellness services, and ongoing monitoring, so our follow-up as well. And many of these codes probably have been used by your other providers, but our goal is to be able to use them as well to be able to make our clinic more sustainable. So this helps us make these expanded services more sustainable for the future. So what we're really hoping is that it puts all of our services within reach and that our residents will enjoy the benefits of all of our services. You all have access now to a range of specialized services through Goodwin Living Health, and that includes brain health, rehabilitation, home health, home care, and hospice. The expanded clinical model will make coordination between these services more seamless. So some of our care may be care you might not yet imagine. New coordination and navigation of care. And as we welcome the new NP and build the model, we'll learn new ways to provide you the best care and services. We'll be engaging residents directly as we roll out the new model, and we'll seek your feedback. The focus is coordinated care that connects residents to the right support across Goodwin Living Health and beyond. Together, we'll develop new ways to deliver care with a level of care coordination that optimizes your health and well-being. Our goal is to be thoughtful in our evolution. Change will not happen overnight. building out the clinics at GHA and GHBC is a journey, not a single event. Hiring the nurse practitioner is our very first step toward realizing our care dreams at GHA, and a phased approach lets us refine processes and ensures consistent resident experience. We've been studying the opportunity to expand our campus clinics in ways that benefit our residents. So what comes next? So as I mentioned, we're taking a stepwise path forward. The first step will be asking residents to sign new consent forms. Some of you may have noticed in the Gazette there was a blurb that was mentioning in rehab that you may be asked to sign a new consent. What we've done is we've taken we call it our Med B consent, so any services that are billed under Med B, and we've made one global consent that will cover all of those services. So if you're getting rehab, you have to sign a consent that you're allowing us to bill under Med B. It's the same consent if you use the clinic. You only have to sign one consent. You don't have to reconsent to every individual service that we provide. So the goal is to make it more streamlined and easier to access. The next step will be to post and hire the new nurse practitioner position. The goal is to have that position posted on Friday. So we're very excited about that. And then once we have the NP, we will be establishing initial wellness visits to understand each resident's health goals and support needs. And then we will also introduce care coordination services that connect residents with the right Goodwin Living Health services. And we will continue to refine workflows and scale the model thoughtfully across the communities. Okay, billing. Just a note about billing. We know you'll have questions, and we've discovered that we can be reimbursed for the services we provide, many of the services that we've been providing for a long time. We understand that you'll have questions about how the billing works, and we're still working through those details as we pilot the program more fully at GHBC. But rest assured, we will take steps to ensure residents receive the full insurance-covered benefits offered. We'll be better together. And we're excited and we want to hear from you. We hope you're as excited as we are about taking this step toward building out the clinic at GHA. We're just as excited to gather resident feedback along the way. Together, we'll keep finding new ways to improve our approach to the comprehensive, individualized care every resident deserves. And finally, what our goal is to center our care around you. So you'll see at the center is you and all of the things that we can do to support you on your journey. We want to make sure that you have access to, know about, and have a place to go and find more information. So just so you guys all know, I have been starting the project at Bailey's Crossroads, and I'm very excited about it because this is a dream that I've always had, is to be able to really provide our residents with the support and personalized care that, and advice, not when you're at your doctor's appointments, but in that in-between, when you're not sure, you have questions, and having someplace safe to go where you can ask and just kind of get information. So whatever decision you make is yours. That's what I find to be the most rewarding part of medicine. And so I'm really excited that our clinic will be able to offer that to all of you. Any questions?
To take advantage of all these services, you've got to have your primary here, right?
No. So you'll still have your primary caregivers. These are care coordination codes that can work alongside your providers. So Dr. Nelson's group does sometimes bill some of these codes. We've worked with them and met with them to make sure that we're billing different codes, so there won't be a duplication of services. But This is for, you can have whomever your providers are, your specialists. Our goal is to be able to have that information, understand, and then support you in the day-to-day stuff. So if your meds are changing and you've noticed that you're having a side effect and you've reached out to your doctor, but you're not sure what to do, you can also come to us and we can kind of talk through what the concerns would be. And then either you can meet with your doctor or we can follow up with your provider's office.
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce. I don't know where to start. I was recently in a small house. I had the flu earlier this year, and when they ordered you're not allowed to bring your own medication when you're in the hospital. So when they ordered medication for me, they had my medication list. They didn't bill it to my insurer. I have medication. So I get home, not feeling very well, and I get a bill from Blue Cross, which is my new insurer, for $1,500 for medication that my old insurer, NALC, had always paid. I was always ready. I was always just due for the copay. That's one. Two, this all revolves around billing, and I think that's one of the most important things that the nurse practitioner can do to make sure the lines of communication between the providers and the patients are clear. When I changed NALC, I'm sorry to go on so long. When NALC left the Federal Employees Program this year, I immediately got in touch with Monica Thomas and gave her all my new information. I joined FEP Blue. That was not forwarded to anyone. And so I get a bill from FEP Blue denying all these services. These were PT services. Anyway, that's one point I wanted to make is the new practitioner going to help with that? And the other thing is, does GHBC have a practitioner and GHA have a practitioner, or is only one practitioner for both campuses? That's a lot of people, it's a lot of insurance, and a lot of room for total confusion.
So I can confidently tell you that we have one NP at GHBC who will remain the NP at GHBC, and we will hire an NP for GHA. So we're not asking one NP to cover two buildings. Our goal is to be additive and helpful in the resident experience, not make it more confusing. And we do recognize that healthcare is not getting easier, and that sometimes finding answers is fickle at best, but definitely a challenge, and our hope is that we're here to support you get those answers. Hi, sorry.
I have a question about the consent form. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with doctors and consents and that sort of thing. But if there's just one consent form, does that mean if I have if I need an appendectomy, I've consented to that? And then if some doctor decides that I need to have my legs amputated because of, whatever, that I've already consented to that and I don't need to fill out another consent form.
Well, I'm also very confident in saying that we do not amputate here, so that is 100% certainty we will not do. But no, this consent is giving us permission to treat you here at Goodwin Living. You will still have to sign consents anywhere you receive care. The consenting process is really structured to make sure that the consumer understands what they're agreeing to and that we've clearly laid out all of the things that we could bill for, we should still be discussing, and that's the big part of the clinic, is partnering with our residents in your care. We want to discuss with you what the options are and how one would go around accessing that, and then what may be the charges that may be with that. But that's something we're having in a conversation with you, and then ultimately it's your decision whether that makes sense for you or not. So that's the whole point of consent, is to make sure you understand what you're signing up for.
Yes. Thank you for coming. I use Dr. Croma Nelson as my primary care doctor, and she has 2 or 3 nurse practitioners
She does.
that work with her. Will we be able to see those nurse practitioners in our clinic if necessary?
Dr. Nelson's group will still be here in her team, so you'll be able to still see them. Our provider is here for if you don't have an appointment or if something happens unexpectedly, we're still able to get to you, assess, and get a plan in place to address whatever your needs are at that time, or give you the information that you need at the time, and then we'll follow up, and you can follow up with your provider.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So do I understand that if we have a primary care doctor other than Dr. Croma Nelson, that we can see this nurse practitioner here?
You can see the nurse practitioner here. They're not going to take over as your primary care provider.
I understand that.
Your doctors will continue to be your providers. The NP here is able to assess and do all the things that your providers can do, but we're really trying to make sure that whatever decisions you're making, you understand clearly and have all the information. So
Okay.
we're in addition.
All right. And then the second part of that question is it our responsibility then to make sure that the notes that were taken by the nurse practitioner are sent to our primary care provider, or does that automatically go to her or
Right.
him?
We'll follow up with your provider. That's kind of the benefit of our clinic team. They do a lot of work to make sure that information is disseminated. And we are now able to count that time and show how much they do to make sure your care is better. So yes, those kinds of things we can 100% do and bill for.
Beth, would you reintroduce yourself? We had a couple of residents that came in late.
Oh, sure. I'm Beth Clint. I am the Director of Clinical Operations for Goodwin Living. Some of you may know me. I was the Executive Director for Hospice, and many, many years ago, I was the palliative care nurse. But now I am doing education organization-wide and the clinic project, which has been my personal passion project, so I'm very excited about it.
Thank you for this information. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I just want to clarify for a moment the issue of billing. It almost sounded as if when this system is in place, we will be billed for things for which we now pay in our monthly fee. For example, access to clinic services, things like, I don't know, medication dosing, help with medications, visits late at night from one of the nurses. Will those become items that are billable?
So those items are billable. If there is an avenue for insurance to pay for those services, we are going to seek that. Now, not everything, it's kind of confusing. They're care coordination codes. So, a visit, if an NP sees you, they bill for that visit. That's not new. That's always existed. We're going to become more sophisticated in how we do that. It's been a little bit of a challenge because these codes haven't always been accessible, but Medicare has recognized that the care people receive in between and how much information that they have and how well all of us recognize goals of care and then tailor care towards that actually is better for Medicare in the long run, because people aren't in the hospital that don't want to be there getting care that's much more expensive. So that's why they created the care coordination codes, and to try to capture the time of all the people that go in to providing care. So that allows the work that nurses do and the social workers do that had been otherwise not captured. It gives us a revenue stream for that.
Okay. I would hope that as this program rolls out, although you're starting with a model that is working at GHBC, I would hope that we have the possibility of having differing programs here at GHA if it works better for us here. And one last thing, you might just give us a clue on what a nurse practitioner can do that an RN can't.
So an NP is a provider. They have the ability to prescribe medications. Their assessment is their education and their ability to assess that is a higher level than a nurse. Not that nurses can't. I myself am a nurse, and I think I'm a pretty good assessor. But I am not able to bill for my time, and I'm not able to write orders. I need somebody to write those orders for me. I can't fill out, I can do a DNR, but I can't sign the DNR because I'm not a provider. So it allows us more access faster to things that can really, without having a provider available, can really slow down the works and result in delays of care for our residents, which we don't want.
Sort of following up on what was just said, with the billing for residents may mean that they now have co-pays, or if their insurance doesn't cover it for some reason, they will be billed for the services.
They could be.
Yeah.
You still consent to the services, and part of the consenting process is us telling you what your responsibility would be, and we would run your insurance and tell you what that would be based upon your insurance. It remains your choice. There are some insurances that are a little bit trickier than Medicare. Medicare is much more straightforward, so we would always tell you if there would be a copay. Our goal is not to try to get money from everyone. Our goal is to be able to be sustainable and make sure that the services we're providing are accessible to everyone, but at the same time that it allows us to have more caregivers and providers. So to answer your question, I mean, it's Medicare Part B. I can tell you for any Medicare Part B service, and that's how it is now, without Medigap, it is 80%, and then there's a 20% copay. Any service that's Medicare Part B.
So for residents, so that means that things that we may be getting free now, we would pay.
It's hard to say, and I don't have the exact answer. That's why we're running this through at Bailey's first. Again, our goal is to make sure that we can have an NP and we have more caregivers here. So how exactly we're going to do this, we're still working through, and I don't want to give you information that's not correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I don't, the billing issues are complicated, that sort of thing, but I don't want this occasion to go without saying how pleased I am that we're bringing in a nurse practitioner. I think this is an enormous improvement in the care here, where we have a primary care provider. And in the state of Virginia, a nurse practitioner can do everything that a physician can do. They can diagnose, prescribe, write prescriptions, administer. And so this is a big, big jump forward in my mind to the care provided here. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for putting this in place. And I recognize the implementation is going to be complicated, billing is complicated, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to let you hear how pleased I am that we've made this big improvement in care here.
Well, thank you. I'm excited too for the exact same reasons. Anybody else? Well, there'll be more to come, so don't worry. This was just an introduction. We just wanted to make sure that, I'm sorry, one more. Thank you, Bruce.
I have two questions. One, what are the hours for the nurse practitioner? And what days of the week?
I can't answer either of those questions because we have not hired the person yet. They'll likely be business hours, would be my guess, but I just don't know for sure. And the days of the week, likely Monday through Friday, but I don't know that for sure.
And my second question is, I've listened to people talk here, and people have talked about the nurse practitioner who comes to the small houses, and also you're talking about a nurse practitioner in the clinic. Is the nurse practitioner from the clinic also going to take care of the small houses as well as the Virginia Hospital Center doctors, practitioners?
If there's a need if there's a need for a resident that we don't have someone here to do it and our NP can, then yes. I think in the healthcare, where we're really focusing on with the clinic is more of independent living and assisted living. You have a lot more support, and the nurse and social worker and all those wraparound services on the healthcare center are much tighter. And independent living, there's one social worker for a lot more residents, but the goal is that if you have questions, if you are curious on what services are available to you, you have one place to go to ask, and you can get that information.
So if you haven't been around here for quite a while, you may not realize that we as in this audience, we used to have a nurse practitioner.
Yes, I am aware of that.
And people loved her.
Yes.
And we went to her a lot.
Great.
And then she was forced out. And she was forced out, from what I understand, because somebody wanted to have more control over what was going on, and therefore kept the clinics from actually assigning cases to her. Now, that's not common knowledge, but that I was told that very clearly by some people who knew at the time.
Okay.
In addition, I remember talking to Barbara about this, Barbara D'Agostino, and she was thinking, well, Christina's doing things like she's cleaning earwax out of people's ears. We don't want to waste a nurse practitioner on doing that. Actually, she didn't say that last part. She just sort of stopped with that. But it was really important for people who were getting old, who had wax building up in their ears, to get it removed. And Christine was a joy. If we lose somebody that is here who does something for us, but we can't do it, they can't do it because we can't bill for it, that's a real problem. And I think we need to make sure we're able to do things like have earwax cleaned out if something Medicare doesn't take care of.
So I can't speak for sure for here because I don't know all of the logistics, but I can say that an NP certainly can clean earwax. So can a nurse. If the NP is how I would see that is the NP would do the assessment, see what's happening, and then make the recommendations. If it's something that they feel they need to do themselves, then they may choose to do it. If it's something that they can delegate to the nurses in the clinic, then they can do it. So I don't think that kind of thing is we're not trying to walk away from. I think what we're trying to do is solve things that can be handled here and give you information so that your care matches your goals. I also can say with some confidence is that obviously we want to be reimbursed for services that we provide because that allows us to pay for our staff and allows us to take that and do other things that support our residents. But our goal is not to refuse care to anybody that doesn't have or can't. I don't think that's going to change the way we care for people. We want to care for all our residents the same way. But if there's an avenue to do it in a way that's more meaningful and allows us to have more staff, then that's an avenue we want to explore as well.
Okay, second thing. As I see the presentation you did up there, it was a very good presentation, by the way, but it kind of reminds me with what I see that's going on today with a lot of different providers of movies and all sorts of things like that, all combining up into one huge company. And some people say, no, that's not a good idea. It's the antitrust stuff because I realize this is not an antitrust problem for you, but we're having a situation where the lack of competition or the lack of the other kinds of things means basically we're going to get less for more expense. And the people who want to do this say, oh, no, that's not true. We combine, we can have economies of scale, everything will be great. And some other people say, no, it won't be great, and we've seen that over and over and over and over again. You do that and it costs you more and you don't get as much. So that's what it looks like when I see that screen up there, and I realize that's just a metaphor or an analogy, but that is what it feels like.
Well, I personally, there's nothing more annoying than going to the grocery store and buying Fig Newtons and realizing that the box is smaller and there's less and they're more expensive. That's not at all what we're doing. What we're recognizing is that healthcare has become more complex and the system's more strained, and getting information is a challenge, and getting to a human is a challenge. And if we're going to support our residents in the way that's most meaningful to you, A, we need to know what's meaningful to you. B, we need to be accessible to you. And C, we need to all work together more cohesively to make sure that you're accessing the resources that are going to meet your goals. And I think, to your point of things getting bigger, as we've grown as an organization, we've been able to bring in services under Goodwin Living Health, like brain health, like home health, like rehab, like hospice, like home care, that are all meant to support you in how you choose to age and where you choose to age. And we just want to make sure that as we have all those services, if there's not a central point, then how we are cohesive is greatly affected. So I think what we're doing is recognizing there's ways to do that through the clinic that will improve care and access.
I have a question.
Sure.
That was an admirable presentation, lots of wonderful goals and concepts. But what I heard when everybody was concerned about this initially was who's going to be here at night when we're sick, and where's it going to come from, and so how is that going to be affected? I didn't hear anything very specific about the certain services, and that's what. Of course you're not that busy during a night, but I know when I was lying in the bed at 1 o'clock one morning thinking, oh, I feel awful, and maybe it's a heart attack because they're different. And I thought, well, I'm going to be embarrassed if I just lie here and die. So very embarrassing. So I woke my husband up and said, I can't move, I feel awful. And so very soon, someone was there to take my vitals and all that. Now, that's why we're here. I'm a very healthy person, basically, but that's why we're here, for those things that happen in the night in emergencies. And I don't care about the codes they are or what the copay is or any of that, but we're all here to be taken care of when we need it. And so far, it's been, from what I understand from everybody else, admirable. And we're very grateful for it and for the medical people there. But some of the specifics I don't hear quite.
Right. Well, I haven't given you all the specifics because it's the introduction and we are still working out the logistics. We will be available 24/7, but I can't tell you exactly what that looks like here. Oh, then I'll let Barb answer that.
Yeah. Judy, nothing has changed. We still will have 24/7 emergency help, and our assisted living nurse has been responding for many, many years during the 11 to 7 shift and will continue to do so.
And that is, there's nurses over at Bailey's that do the same thing, and that's what, we're not planning on changing that at all. Okay.
If the NP is going to be here during business hours, if the NP is going to be here during business hours. And that's when Karoma Nelson and her NPs are also here. Is this, you go down and say which NP you want to see? Is this cooperative? Are they, is this, I don't understand how this coordinates.
So Dr. Nelson's group has their own practice. The way that they work is they have scheduled appointments, so it depends on when you can get in. If your provider's not in this building and you have to go out to see your provider, but you have a question that's answered, you can come down and ask the clinic. If Dr. Karoma Nelson is here and you can get into an appointment with her, then you can go ahead and see Dr. Nelson. But if you can't, or if there's something that's not necessarily a problem, but you just have questions, you've got an upcoming surgery and you want to know the planning for it and what are the things you should look out for, there's no reason why you can't talk to our NP or our clinic staff. So that just gives you more access. But your providers are still your providers. You're more than welcome to access them how you always have. We just want to be here for the stuff that you didn't plan on or can't make an appointment for.
We have another question over here, Beth.
Just a footnote, I don't speak from personal experience on this, but I'm pretty sure, Judy, that there is no embarrassment after death.
I have a question. What are the plans for, if there are any, to integrate the specialists who come in on occasion, mostly on Wednesdays, the podiatrist, the dentist, the eye doctor? They've been great, and I'd hate to see them get kind of lost in the shuffle of all this.
They're all still your specialists. We don't have dentists. I mean, what we're hoping to do is when you have all your specialists and you have all the different people you see, oh, my things aren't there anymore, but you at the center of it, having someone that can tie all the pieces and make sure that if your cardiologist told you one thing and your primary told you another thing and someone else told you another thing and they don't make sense, then we can help you sort that out so that it does make sense. Whether that means we call your cardiologist and your primary and your renal doc and try to get an answer from all three and make sure they're on the same page, we could do that, or we can make recommendations based on what they suggest. Yes.
Listening to you describe this, it almost makes it sound like we'll have, with a nurse practitioner, we'll have access to something similar to an immediate care. Is that?
I think that's one of the things we can do, that if there's emergency visits, we have a provider here to address. And then in addition to that, the coordination of care, which I think many of you know can be a challenge, just trying with so many different providers. So we'll help with that as well.
So if I were to go down to see the nurse practitioner because I had a sore throat, she can determine whether or not I need a strep.
Exactly.
test.
So she can go down,
She can prescribe that, order that.
She can. And if it's, she can look at your primary care doctor and, make a recommendation and reach out and be like, you came down for a sore throat, we're going to recommend this. Is that okay with you?
Okay.
We're good to go.
But you don't do lab work here.
We can do lab work, yes. And we can help coordinate and explain the lab work.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Couple more. Sorry, one more. Go ahead.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Hiring a nurse practitioner is fine. That's great. But will you be reducing the nurses in the clinic because you're hiring her?
Nope.
Okay.
That's an addition. Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thank you all. And like Beth said, and thank you, Beth, so much for this introduction. This is an introduction. We know you have a lot of questions. I'll be sending out just a summary letter tomorrow with a copy of this, and then we'll send something next week too with a little more detail of what we currently know. But we're going to be advertising, as Beth said, Friday for the nurse practitioner, so we don't even have the person yet, and this program is just starting. So we're all going to learn together, but I think it's a real positive step forward for all of you. So thank you, and as you exit, a reminder that we do have the boards for our HCM renovation project in the living room. So stop by on your way out. Thank you.
And the second half just begun.